Hi, I'm CJ, and this is a guide for fighting Medulla, the final boss of Assault Android Cactus. We're going to be taking you through phase by phase and showing you how to beat her. But first, here are 5 pro tips you need to know. Number 1. Make efficient use of your secondary weapon. Your secondary weapon is much stronger than your primary, and you're going to make it hard on yourself if you neglect it. Ideally, you should be using it every time it fully cools down. That's when this heat bar becomes nice and empty and you hear this sound. Number 2. Make efficient use of your power-ups. Firepower is usually the best option because the drones do a lot of damage over their 12-second lifespan. Shutdown is useful situationally because it gives you healing, invincibility, and makes the boss take 50% extra damage for about 2 seconds. This is also the best time to unload your secondary to deal a ton of damage at once, usually around 300 or so bonus damage, and multiply that by the number of players. Accelerate gives you speed, extra defense, and increased pickup range, but no extra damage output. It's arguably the least useful, so unless you feel you really need it, leave it on the ground and let it change into something else. Number 3. Your weapon swap doubles as a dodge, in that it gives you invincibility frames. This lets you hop through lasers, bullets, explosions, just about anything in the game that does damage. The usefulness of this cannot be overstated. Number 4. Getting knocked down is not a death sentence. Your primary weapon's power level is reset, but your secondary weapon always stays the same, so you can always lean on that for a strong source of damage. Number 5. Pick the right android for the job. It's possible to get an S+ rank with any android, but it's more difficult with the lower DPS androids like Aubergine and Holly, or the androids with awkward weapons like Shiitake and Coral. If it's your first time through and you just want to beat it, try Cactus, Lemon, or Starch. They're fairly straightforward to play and boast some good damage output. Alright, without any further ado, let's get into the boss fight. I'm going to be using Cactus, but if you want to see how it's done with another android, check out the video description below for a playlist of 9 boss fights, one with every android. Phase 1 is pretty straightforward. She'll spray out some bullets, fire a pattern of turning lasers, retract the bullets, and then repeat. Use your weapon swap to dodge the bullets as they come out, hug the inside and circle around. Look for openings or use your weapon swap again to escape, and then repeat. Circling and hugging is important because it lets you collect weapon power and use your close ranged weapons effectively. Phase 2 is just the same as Embryo's final phase. The trick to this one is to hug his right shoulder and circle him clockwise nice and slowly, moving in sync with his bullet pattern. Don't worry about his rockets because they can only track you if you're moving in a straight line. Phase 3 is pretty much just like the first phase. Use your weapon swap to get in and out, hug the inside and circle around to grab that sweet weapon power. It's a lot safer on the inside. If you got this far without being knocked down, you'll probably reach max weapon level here. Phase 4 is just Vespula's final phase. She'll alternate between tendrils at 45-degree angles to where she's facing, and a spiral pattern of flowers. Stay nice and close to avoid her ring of wasps. Phase 5 spawns purple bullets, which will one-shot you, or two-shot you if you have Accelerate. I find the easiest way to deal with them is to circle around the inside, and weapon swap if you get yourself into a tight spot. Phase 6 is just the same as Justice's final phase. Lure him over to wherever the first laser fence post spawned. Circle around to get the power up in the center when it's convenient, and make sure to destroy 2 fence posts to spawn a power up. His attacks aren't too hard to avoid if you keep moving. Phase 7 is where you fight Medulla herself. When the laser turret spawns, hide behind Medulla to make it shoot her for you. Some extra enemies will spawn, but they don't count as damaging the boss, so just keep them off your back and focus on her. The small enemies have very low range and can be mostly ignored, but the towers have a very long range slap attack and have to be dealt with. But wait, it's not over yet. In this final phase your battery is charged to full, your weapon is force and max, and you have 60 seconds to defeat 7 waves of unique enemies. The cube enemies are much like mines that explode on contact. There are also cross-shaped enemies that fire bullets, seeker enemies that try to dash into you from behind, and beam shooting enemies. They might be fancy looking, but at the end of the day they're just another enemy, and you can treat them as such. If you get knocked down, use your wake up invincibility to walk through the cubes and blow them up for free kills. If you have trouble in this part in particular, try using Lemon. Her max level spread shot absolutely wipes the floor with this phase, and her rockets will one-shot any of the enemies. And that's it! Again, if you're not using Cactus, check the description below to see what it looks like with the other 8 androids. In a follow-up video I might talk about what it takes to get a really good score, not just an S+. Thanks for watching.